Good morning. Welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Lorene Tanaka. We are here with Cindy Spencer with the Domestic Violence Action Center. And Cindy is the Vice President of Community, Organizing, and Education. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Now, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
Domestic violence has been in the news lately a lot, nationally, including Hawaii. Tell us, how would you define domestic violence?
Domestic violence is a systematic approach by one person in that partnership with the intent to destroy the sense of self and well-being of the other person in order to gain and then maintain power and control in the relationship. It's frequently done through the physical abuse, and that's what the general public understands. But those who suffer and who are survivors of domestic violence will talk very extensively about the psychological abuse that goes on that really weakens who they are, their confidence in who they are, their ability to make decisions, etc. And when you're messing around with someone physically and psychologically, I believe that you're messing around with them in a spiritual way as well.
So it's a total control.
Total control, using violence and coercive behaviors to undermine that person so that their resistance to that power over them is diminished daily.
So that's where the systematic comes in. You mentioned systematic.
Yes.
So it is designed and intentional.
Yes, and it's a pattern. It's something that is created, a dynamic that's created in that relationship by the person who's being abusive, and it continues to create itself. The dynamic continues to be a pattern that both people understand and are aware of.
Now, when you mention psychological, that is your emotional and mental abuse,
Yes.
right? Is this something that is learned behavior?
I think that when a child is raised in a home where there's violence, the potential for becoming violent is certainly present. We do a lot of talk stories in and around the island, and one of the things that we have learned, or people consistently say, is if you want to create healthy relationships, you have to see it in order to be it. And so we believe that certainly, yes, the example is there. It's around belief systems. It's around what you believe you need to be in order to be a man, what young girls learn in their homes about being a woman. It gets very distorted when they're watching their mother being abused and degraded and humiliated.
And without living in any other home, they may think this is how it is.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
What are some of the causes of domestic violence?
Well, we think root cause is the social norms that create the idea that in order to be a true man, a real man, you have to be in a dominant position over anybody that you perceive as weak. And women are seen as weaker, children are seen as weaker, and even dominance is
animals
as well.
All
yes.
part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so root cause are belief systems, the way people are socialized. Certainly, if you watch it happening in your family, that's going to allow you or create more vulnerability. But we do believe that it's belief systems and that it's the way not just individual people believe, but the way the society believes. So to make changes, we need to make changes within the society and how we perceive what it means to be a true good man and what it means to be a respectful female.
See, in my mind, I'm thinking a strong man is a man who has control of his own emotions.
Yes.
And who has, he has a good, how should I say, I guess a good background where he can rely on that. That's where it comes from, though.
Yes, and has access to all of the emotions, not just anger, but has access to being a human with feelings.
Compassion,
and yes, absolutely. And are respectful of women and see women in an equal way, in an honest, equal way.
Can you, can a woman, because most of the times it's the male dominating the woman in this case, can a woman recognize an abuser ahead of time? Are there signs?
I think there are signs. I think a lot of times when relationships first start out, the abuser can be quite charming, but abusers aren't good with stress and anger.
Oh, okay.
That's not what causes the abuse, but the driving and being cut off or what have you are sometimes examples of a really short temper, if you will. The way they treat their mothers, the way they treat their sisters.
That's a good point.
You know, has a lot to do with how they're going to treat women in general.
Or how they, you just listen to their talk. How do they talk about women?
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
Scary. It's scary out there. Wow. Are there, you talked about strategic, they strategize it. Is this something that he's just, like, I guess, plots as the relationship goes along and says, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start to control what she's wearing. I'm going to start to control who she sees. Is that kind of a sign where she can start to see, like, there's a lot of control being instilled, put on her?
Yes, absolutely. The I love you so much I don't like to share you with anyone. Your friends are really troublemakers, and your father never really liked me. So if you would just stay away from those people that influence you. Isolation, absolutely, is a very powerful tool for gaining and then constantly maintaining that power over that person.
So if a woman feels she's in that situation, what can she do?
There's a lot of help out there. Certainly what we see is that women often go to their friends or their family members, if they're safe people, to go to. And so that's why we think it's important to educate our community members as well, because that's where people are going for help. Churches, pastors, pastoral counselors are also a place where a lot of people can go for help. But we want to make sure that those people with good intentions are also giving good information around her safety and her ability to become self-reliant. There's help at our agency. We provide legal services for divorce, restraining orders, post-degree and paternity. We have advocates that help her with all of her non-legal needs. We do a lot of public education. We engage our communities in addressing this issue, owning the issue, finding solutions to the issue. We work with people who are in the neighborhoods, who are in the churches, so that there are point people throughout the community that will be able to provide advocacy and good information about resources that are in our community.
Now, what about a situation where, say it's my girlfriend and I see her, she's in this situation, I can see very clearly what's going on and she can't see as clearly. But you know, my desire is for her to get out of it. And I'm telling her, you need to get out. And she says, no, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that some people will never leave the relationship. I think what's important is to understand that leaving is a process. It will take place when and if she's ready. Leaving is very difficult.
But that's the key, is when she's ready. Not when we want her to do
exactly,
something. Okay.
Yes. But as friends, we can provide her with the resources that are in the community. She can call our helpline and talk. Doesn't have to make any decisions, but can have somebody there to provide her with options and information about the other resources in the community as well.
Now, when they call your helpline, is that completely anonymous?
It is. If they decide that they want to apply for an attorney, then we would have to eventually get their name and have a conflict checked.
Just taking it further at that point.
Yes.
Okay. Do victims ever become violent?
Yes, they do. And the idea that somebody is experiencing abuse and they're just supposed to sit on their hands and not do anything in response, I think is not understanding human condition. Victims will use violence for many different reasons. Sometimes it's to escape a violent, to stop the violence, to decrease the severity of the violence.
To protect another person.
So she picks up a knife and says, you come one step closer to me and I'm going to get you.
Protect her child?
Yes, it allows her to escape. It allows the violence to stop, and certainly the severity. And also sometimes it's pure retaliation. They're just sick and tired of being accused of infidelity, being kept up all night, being told they're horrible people, that they're bad mothers, that they're ugly and fat and no one would love them, and being physically abused. They're tired of it. I remember working with a woman who had a baseball bat behind every door in her house, and she said, next time someone's going to get it, and next time it's not going to be me. And then I think finally, another reason that really impacts the work that we do is that they've tried what we've suggested that will help them become safe or
Which is,
safer.
give us an example about
Oh,
that.
we've asked them if they'd be considered getting a restraining order, or going to a shelter, or calling the police.
Now, with respect to the restraining order, I've heard women say, what's the point in getting a restraining order? By the time the police get here, he's already all over me.
Yes, well, the restraining order, when it works, is an absolutely wonderful tool, and for a lot of people it works. For a lot of people it doesn't work, and he just doesn't believe that anybody has a right to interfere with him and his wife or his partner.
The legal system does not even scare him at that point.
And it is just a piece of paper, so it has to be, a restraining order has to be part of a safety plan, and a safety plan is something that we offer at our agency, and other DV programs will also offer that service.
So a woman who is watching this and saying, okay, I am in this situation, I need to get out, what steps would you suggest that she do? Does she need to start planning like an escape?
Yeah, that would certainly be good, but she doesn't necessarily have to do that on her own. Like I said, she can call some of the programs that are out there, and certainly the Domestic Violence Action Center helpline is available from 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday to help her look at how to start that plan. What kinds of things should she take with her? How is she going to get out of the house? What is she going to do with the children?
Yes.
All of those things can be analyzed. Like critical thinking is basically what we help her do around her safety.
We have about 30 seconds left, but I want to ask, who do they call outside of the hours of 8:30 to 4:30?
There are shelter numbers that are available 24 hours. Those shelter numbers are at the front of the phone book.
Okay, so she should have that handy if she's ready.
Right, and she can call us and we can give her other numbers.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much, Cindy. Wow, this is great information. We'll be right back.